Here we go. Back at it with episode 2, My Turn Podcast. It's your boy Hood Rich. Got a real special guest today. When I first heard his name, I thought he was a legend, to be honest. And turns out he is a legend. Tony Lombardi, the GOAT, one of the best coaches probably that I've ever had. Just an overall great guy. So without further ado, in the flesh.
I still
Tony.
got some flesh left, not much. At my age, it starts falling off the bones, just kind of like a good piece of chicken.
Call it pulled pork.
Exactly.
Hey, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Okay, thanks for having me. I mean, you know what? We go way back, and I've always really enjoyed watching your journey because, I saw you from the time when you were just this kid with an immense talent and an even bigger ego to where you are now, to where you make a difference. You make an impact in the lives of the people that surround you, and that journey is such an amazing thing to watch and to see you grow. And I'm very excited for what the future holds for you, and you get better every day.
I try to. I learned from one of the best, from you. So we're gonna get into all that. First, I'm gonna show you a clip from high school. Okay,
Oh,
I need your reaction on it. Okay. Here we go. Let's bring this in here.
Oh my Lord! Look at that jersey.
I'm sure you didn't expect to have to be the man tonight.
Not at all.
Talk about that, and obviously you were ready for it, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, in practice, I take reps. Andre's the guy. But when coach called out my name, I had no other, nothing else to do but just to step up and be a leader. Carry the load because Andre was out, and I just felt like I had to do my part.
You guys, they gave you a tough go, a little tougher than maybe you expected, but you responded in the third quarter. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's upstate though, but we knew they were going to come out firing. I mean, seniors last year, Sub-State, everybody wants to advance, and they came out firing, but, we responded. Coach calmed us down in the third quarter. We came out, we did what we had to do, and we got the W.
You're a little bit different runner than Andre. You talk about your style.
I like to stay on both, but I'm more of a speed guy. Get north and south, not really a plow you over. But I did a couple times, but more of a get north and south, get in the end zone, get to the sideline.
Ouch.
How do you feel about Kennedy now? Watch Kennedy again. Huh?
And Kennedy's tough. They beat a good Bittendorf team, so we'll see on Monday. What do we play Monday? Monday, it'll be a new battle.
Are you going to be? How's Andre? I guess. First of all, have you heard?
No, but Andre's his senior year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's not going to miss the playoffs. But if coach calls on my name, I got to respond.
You bet.
God, that's such a cool. I'm so glad you played that for me. You have no idea to go back and, I'm recalling and of course we're not going to lose to Kennedy. So,
No.
I've listened. The juices are already flowing. And, I just think that, like I said, I didn't have any doubt that you were going to, ball out. And actually, I think you handled that really, knowing who that kid was walking down the hallway.
That's what I was going to say.
I think you handled that really well. Much better than some of the things I heard around the school.
Oh man, trust me. I had a lot to growing up I needed to do during that time, but you live and you learn. And
you know what? I think it's an art. I think one of the arts of working with young people, a lot of that is a great asset. Self-assuredness, confidence, all those things. So you have to be really careful when you have somebody like you, a free spirit, but full of talent, I think that's a mistake that a lot of coaches make, is they want to fit you into their mold or into a mold of how they see you being. And I think that's a huge mistake, because, you're going to grow into the best Alex Carr that you can grow into. You're not going to grow into Tony Lombardi. So
Right.
I think you have to be cognizant of that when you're working with young people, and make sure that you allow them to grow. But just like a tree, those branches are still growing off that original trunk and those same roots. No matter how much I try to foist my values onto you, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And I never tried to. I didn't try to do that with you. I tried to
No.
let you kind of grow.
You did. And I think that's a good segue into just who you are. Obviously, for those of you guys don't know, he was my high school coach, but he also played college football, spent some time in the NFL. Why don't you kind of walk us through just going from college, what you put in, the work you put in there, and then to the NFL and right into your coaching.
Yeah, I think I was I was really blessed. I grew up. My dad was a Hall of Fame high school football coach, and but also kind of much like what I just recited with you. He wasn't an overbearing. I told him I wanted to play Division I football. He's like, "Well, I got some bad news for you, dude. You're like 6 foot." I thought I had to be a quarterback. I had a great arm, but I was left-handed. I was smart. I knew the game.
Yeah.
He's like, "That ain't happening. You're left-handed. You're barely 6 feet tall. You're not playing quarterback." And I got some bad news for you. There's only limited positions you can play Division I football.
Right.
And you're not fast enough, and you're not strong enough. So here's a gym, and you're going to have to work on your speed and your strength. And different from nowadays, in those days, that was the end of the discussion. It was up to me to get to the gym. Mom or dad wasn't driving me to the gym. He
Right.
wasn't making sure I was there. He wasn't holding me accountable. It was like, you go or you don't. It's up to you.
Right.
And so I learned early on an accountability standard for myself, how to hold myself accountable.
That's important.
Yeah. And so when I graduated high school, I was about a 10, 800 meters guy, and a 210-pound kid benching, in the 300s. And, but I'd grown up like that. So I played at Arizona State, and had a cup of coffee in the NFL and in the CFL. And so I did. I knew what it was like to play pro football. I knew what it was like to be around those guys. I knew what the locker room was like.
Yeah.
Then I went on. I coached college football, starting in 1986. I started coaching at the University of Wisconsin, and I worked my way up into being a defensive coordinator at a very young age. So I coached college for until 2000, when the XFL came about, and I got a chance to go to the XFL. So I coached in the pros
Nice.
as long as that league was available. And then by that point, we had started having kids. And when you have kids in this profession, you have, at that level, I was in the professional ranks. You're pretty much done being a dad. And that wasn't what I wanted. I remember I was at the end of my driveway going out to Chicago to recruit from Eastern Michigan. I was living in Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor. And Rocky was at the end of the driveway. My oldest son, he was 3, 4. And, and I was leaving again, and he's like crying, "Dad, and where are you going?" I said, I'm going to go get us some new football players, Rocky. We're going to, and he's like, "I hate football," because, the connotation to him was Dad's leaving.
Yeah, this is Dad that's leaving. Right.
Right. He doesn't give a crap about football. And it hit me that I don't want him to grow up hating football, because everything I had in my life, I got from my relationship with my father, and with the lessons I learned in football, and how I transitioned from a player to a coach, and then to a mentor, to where I knew that I was impacting the lives of the people around me, which is
For
that's a
sure.
great blessing. And I didn't want my son to grow up hating the game that had given me everything I'd ever had. So
Right.
I remember driving all the way to Chicago and thinking, I gotta go to high school, because I thought, why does he hate football? I love football. My
Right.
dad
He
was a
should just
coach.
love it. He's my son. He should,
Yeah.
this should just
My
be.
dad was a coach. I love my dad being a coach. Well, my dad was a very different coach. My dad was a high school coach,
Yeah.
so he didn't go on the road recruiting.
Sure.
He was home at night.
Right.
He coached my little league team.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized what I loved about my dad. My dad was there. He was present.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a decision right then. I became a head high school coach. I was a head high school coach for about 17, 18 years. But I think I brought a college and a professional mentality to high school coaching,
Yeah.
which was a great asset. And just like you, it was a great asset to some, and to others, it was a liability.
Yeah.
And so,
I love that.
I learned that over the course of time and over the years, that not everybody, my players all appreciated that and loved that. And,
Right.
but some of their moms didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that, coach was going to hold
On you.
Yeah. And he was going to hold them accountable, and he had high
Yeah.
expectations, and academically, athletically, socially. And that's not his job. And I respectfully disagree. I think that is my job.
Yeah.
And so
you spend a lot of time with your coach. And if your coach isn't holding you accountable in other aspects of life, then that's going to come out on the field somewhere. And penalties, not being disciplined, it's a definite correlation. And what I can say about what you brought is, when I went to college at Northern Iowa, I was like, I've already had a college coach, and I've already put in college work. I mean, you had us up at 6 a.m. Running. You had elementary kids at the high school at 6 a.m. willingly. Like, you really had the whole community bought into getting better and being accountable. Walk me through, that, just how you went about that, because that seems like a tall task.
Well, it was. Cedar Rapids, Washington is a wonderful place. Dr. Plagman is a unique administrator, and he wanted greatness. He wanted greatness out of his kids. He wanted greatness out of the building, which is a tremendous blessing. So he supported. He knew what I was trying to accomplish. And so when I came in, and I'm not going to lie, initially, I had done all the things that you mentioned, the early morning workouts, the summer condition, but then again, now morphed in with being a dad. I had kids who were in elementary school at that time, and I wanted to help them also. So, really unintentionally, I got involved in helping the youth football program, just to be there for my kids, because a lot of the people who were involved in the youth football program were great volunteers and giving up their time, very generous with that, but had no background. So I could lend some background to those guys and support them. And what morphed out of that was this amazing youth program,
feeder program,
that where
we had not had.
So
we hadn't had that.
Oh, I can tell you, it was so successful that for 3 years, maybe 4 years after I left, after I was no longer in the building, we did not lose a lower level game. I wasn't even the coach.
Wow.
Which tells you that it's all about the kids.
Yeah.
That if the kids are fundamentally sound, they're developed, and they're good athletes, and they're highly competitive, it doesn't matter who's driving the boat, the kids are going to win. And I always remember that as a coach, is that it's all about the kids all the time.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's important. I think when you left, and I'm going to keep this as honest as possible, I really felt like, man, we really had a chance. This was our chance to win a state championship. right? And
I think we would have won about 4 or 5 in a row, and I'm not kidding you. I think we would have won. I think if Rocky'd have been the quarterback, which he was going to be that next year, we might have won. And then we had Bo coming behind him.
Yeah.
And then those were quarterbacks. But what I'm saying is but then the groups around them had won
the wazoo.
They had won national youth football championships. Like we were beating, teams from all over the country, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida. We beat them all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it was, hearing you talk about you being a father too, that's got to feel good to, be going on the road with your kids and their friends and, beating teams that are from these, so-called, big states like Texas and, California and places like that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. And I go back to Bo was playing in a national championship in Naples, Florida. And I had 2 other young kids that were his two great running backs who went on and both played college football.
Nice.
In fact, 2 Christmases ago, I kept track. I had 17 of my former youth football players playing in bowl games.
Wow.
In the same year.
Wow.
They would have
just
and they would
one
have
year
all in one, and they would have all gone to Cedar Rapids, Washington. So you tell me we wouldn't have, because a lot of kids after I left went back to different high schools.
Yep.
But they were all going to go to Wash.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I think we would have had a great impact on the community as a whole.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what God's plan was, and for any of us. And so it just didn't work out that way. But it would have been a unique. It was one of those times where the vision I had actually was coming to fruition, and it just never got to happen. But it's too bad. It was a great group of kids. You guys, you and Andre and Keenan, and you just built this great tradition.
Yeah.
And then we were adding to it with a bunch of young kids who wanted to be a part of what you had built, and they were going to take it to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with the talent level of you. It was just a different. You got to understand, those kids were playing. They played, 20 games a year easily, when in 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
That's crazy.
Maybe more.
You learn a lot in that, and
you do.
You get better at the game by playing the game.
Right. we were running no huddle, hurry up offense, checking plays at the line of scrimmage with 7th and 8th graders.
332 arrow, 756. I got all those plays.
Signaling it, baby. Signaling it.
Still here.
We're giving these signals, and 8th graders out there. We were just torching people.
If you could, I got a question here for you. If you could go back, would there be anything that you changed?
Yeah, I think it's like anything in life. I didn't communicate my vision to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I knew where we were going, and I had the best interest of the kids and the community at heart. But people don't like things that are new and that take them out of their comfort zone, and it hadn't been done before. And
absolutely.
And people were worried about, oh my gosh, there's these 6 super athletes moving in. What's going to happen to my son? Right. Well, I was going to play everybody. I was going to run it like a college program. People are only going to play one side of the ball or the other. And, I can get 30 kids on the field easily in a game. Everybody was worried that, because they didn't grow up that way. Kids played both ways. There was all of a sudden there's a good wide receiver coming in from Iowa City, and I'm, a 3rd generation Washington Warrior kid who's a great kid who played Division III football. Coach Lombardi's not going to play me. I would have played him. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you would have found a spot.
Play.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they, people don't trust. Here's the thing. Sometimes you have to trust other people. You know, listen, I know what I know, but there's most things I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So in my capacity, you know, outside of coaching, you know, if I'm working in a different profession right now, you know, you learn early on, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You got to surround yourself with smart people, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to be smart enough to listen to them.
Exactly.
And nobody, you know, nobody ever asked, you know, what's your vision? Can you, you know, are kids going to get screwed, or are they going to be okay? I had an
Mm-hmm.
answer. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know, we lost kids, you know, in the beginning. We lost